Hi everyone. So welcome to the live stream today. This is episode 4 of Getting Started as we go into the discussion and look at the various things that we need to consider when it comes to the entire syllabus and looking at the overview of the various things that we need to look out for. In the first episode that is on Monday, we discussed the overview of the entire thing where I shared with you 5K things that you need to do in order for you to pass the examination. And I spoke about the fact that you need to be committed to study. I spoke about how you need to select a tuition center because definitely you want to attend lectures or you need to attend lectures. Then number 3, you want to make sure that you prepare a personal timetable. Number 4, you need to be committed. That means you need to have the 3 Ds to become successful. That is dedication, devotion, and discipline. And then number 5, you need to have the right mindset in order for you to become successful. And most importantly, take your life to the next level. Today, we are focusing on how you can pass corporate reporting and advanced audit and assurance. And I see some of you guys joining the stream. So if you join the stream, welcome. Give us a thumbs up on the video when you join, and also remember to put in the chat box any questions you have for me, whatever thing that you have that you want me to share my thought on. Put it in the chat for me, and then let me answer any questions that you have as we go straight into our discussion today on how to pass corporate reporting and advanced audit and assurance as we get into the discussion today. Now, so when it comes to the level 3 of the ICAG syllabus, 2 of the papers that I always recommend students to do together, and if you join the stream on Monday, I mentioned this as well, it's corporate reporting as well as advanced audit and assurance, right? Corporate reporting. Why my Apple Pencil sort of misbehaving on me today? Why? What's going on? It's corporate reporting and advanced audit and assurance. These are 2 papers that we are going to be looking out for. Now, the reason why I want students to do these 2 papers together is because of the fact that the international financial reporting standards, they are accounting standards, they are relevant in corporate reporting, and they also help you in advanced audit and assurance. Not only that, we also have ethics, which is in corporate reporting as well as in advanced audit and assurance. And then the whole idea about how the understanding you have in corporate reporting helps you to link you up well with the advanced audit and assurance. So 3 things we want to discuss real quick. As always, we want to look at the syllabus structure. We want to look at the exams structure. And then we want to look at the key areas we have to focus on if we want to pass the exams. So the syllabus structure, the exam structure, and then the key areas we have to focus on in order for us to pass the examination. Now, let's start the journey with corporate reporting, as that is going to be the first aspect in there. So corporate reporting. Now, so when it comes to corporate reporting, this is an advanced paper of financial reporting. So it starts with financial accounting in level 1. Then you build it up with financial reporting in level 2. Then you max it out with corporate reporting in level 3, because that is the final paper. And that is what enables you to now come out as a chartered accountant in that case. But what are the things that are stipulated or stated in the syllabus? Now, as you can see, the syllabus is divided into 5 major areas, and the examiner is going to be bringing questions from these areas as you go into the exam hall. The first aspect, which is fundamental when it comes to corporate reporting, is the issue about the international financial reporting standards. That's the first thing. Now, per the syllabus grading, that is 30%, and that is not a joke. That is not a joke there. So international financial reporting standards. That is very critical. That is very basic. It's the starting points for you in here. Now, the good news here is that everything that you have learned, everything that you understand, everything that you know in financial reporting, we are just taking that exponent maybe 2 or exponent 3 if the examiner is excited about that, and we add that to the entire idea for that in that case. So we are just looking at financial reporting in another way. We are just looking at the financial reporting in another way and putting that in perspective to enable you to understand what you are looking at. So when it comes to the standards here, you're going to be looking at all the standards in level 2. Okay, so if you're doing corporate reporting, you're going to be looking at all the standards in level 2 plus some additional standards exclusively in level 3. Okay, so you're going to be looking at all the standards in level 2, including some additional standards in level 3. So accounting for inventories, IAS 8, accounting policies, changes in accounting estimates. Very importantly, deferred tax at this level will be taken to another level. Remember, the deferred tax you do in corporate, in financial reporting is just an introductory level, but here you need a solid understanding in that case. So we will take IAS 12 to another level in corporate reporting. IAS 16, certainly we're going to be doing that. Impairment, IAS 37, IFRS 9, IFRS 16. Remember, at this level, IFRS 9 is also taken to another level. So there's an advanced level of IFRS 9 financial instruments. I mean, in level 2 financial reporting, it was just introductory aspects. The examiner was not, the syllabus is not too excited about it. So you were just introduced to it. But in corporate reporting, we are taking that a step further and trying to understand exactly what is going on. In that case, IFRS 15, revenue from contract with customers, definitely. Then IAS 20, government grants, 23, borrowing cost, 40, investment property, IFRS 5, non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operation, and then the other standards in that case. So these are all level 2 standards that you need to know about, and we expect you that before you come to corporate reporting, I mean, definitely you understand these standards already, because we're going to be adding a number of the standards exclusively in level 3. So let me show you some of the standards that are going to be exclusively in level 3 here as we look at this very well here. So exclusive standards in level 3. IAS 26, accounting and reporting by retirement benefits plan. The examiner requires that, or the syllabus requires that you just have an understanding of exactly what that is and what that does for the various organizations and various institutions. Then you exclusively for level 3, IFRS 4, insurance contracts. The examiner, the syllabus requires that you have an introductory understanding or knowledge about this as well, exclusively for level 3. Then IFRS 8, operating segments. You know, when organizations have various divisions or various segments, then they would have to determine whether it is good for the for each segment to prepare its own separate financial statement so that we can put it together for the whole business. Now, remember, this is not about consolidation. No, this is just about operating segments, and that is IFRS 8 exclusively for level 3. You need to know about that. Then IFRS, no, not this one here. IFRS 14, regulatory deferred accounts. Also another standard here in level 3 that you need to look out for in that case. Then, so these are some standards that you need to look out for. Then we have IFRS 2. I think I skipped that. Yeah. share-based payment. There is no way I could forget about that. So in addition to these standards that we have here, we're going to be expanding on it and then adding a number of standards like IFRS 8, operating segment, and then next one, IFRS 2, share-based payment. Now, it's very critical for you to really understand what is going on here about share-based payment, especially or exclusively in that case. Now, the reason why it's very critical is that whilst you are doing share-based payment, there is a deferred tax aspect of it that you need to know about. So whilst you are doing IFRS 2, IAS 12 is going to come in town. You must know about it, and you must know how to apply that very well if you are going to really be in the position to pass the exam. So in addition to all this list of standards that we have stated here that you need to know about going into the examination, you need to know about IFRS 8. You need to know about IFRS 2. Like I said, the other standards, yeah, you need to know about them, but not too exciting like that. Something like IFRS 1, first time adoption. It's not something that you need to really look out for really in that case. So, and then IAS 40, investment property. It looks like it is more for level 3 than level 2, but it's examinable in the level 2 aspect in that case. So that is 30%. Just like financial reporting, to pass corporate reporting, you need solid understanding of the accounting standards. I cannot overemphasize the importance of this one. You need solid understanding of the accounting standards, because here, this is what is going to happen. You're going to get a 25-mark question on standards, dedicated, standalone, 25-mark question waiting for you on standards in the exam hall, and that is going to be probably about 4 or 5 of the list of standards that I have stated here. And I'm going to go into the exam structure with you in a moment, though, but that is one of the things that you need to understand, and that is one of the things that you need to go by. So the first thing that we are looking at is the application of the International Financial Reporting Standards. Application of International Financial Reporting Standards. That is the first aspect. That is the first aspect of the syllabus. Let's see. I have some comments coming in. From Abdullah Abdul Rahman Adam said, I always love to watch your live sessions. That's awesome. Thank you. Then he says, it will be better to explain the lesson with a whiteboard. Thank you. I don't know what you mean by with a whiteboard, but we have gone by a whiteboard. This is a better way of presentation, and this helps us a lot to provide us with a quality feed better than whiteboard. That is why we are going to this. But thank you for your suggestion. But this is much better than using whiteboard for presentation. Kessie Kweku Ban said, audit and assurance. Let's get it. All right. So don't worry. I'm going to come that in a moment. Good evening, sir. Good evening, Kessie. I hope that you're doing well, and welcome to the live stream. Then the second aspect of the syllabus is preparation of consolidated financial statements. Consolidated financial statement. Now, like you know already, consolidated financial statements. Like you know already, this will be also an addition to the what you know in the level 2 when dealing with the financial reporting. Only that here, unlike financial reporting, so where you were dealing with simple group structure, here you'll be dealing with complex group structure. All right. So in corporate reporting, you'll be looking at something like changes in ownership. very critical in there, and how you account for that. You're going to be dealing with things like step acquisition. That is, if we decide to acquire a business in stages rather than acquire it, you're going to look at disposal of subsidiary to retain interest or not. You're going to be looking at that as well. You're going to be spending some time to look at foreign subsidiary. So if the entity has a foreign subsidiary, how do we account for that? Then you're going to be spending some time to also look at the consolidated cash flow statement. How you can prepare the consolidated cash flow statement. So in the corporate reporting, it is just the level 2 consolidation, but this time around we take it to another level, taking into consideration various other issues here. Like I said, changes in ownership, step acquisition, disposal, foreign subsidiary, then consolidated cash flow statement. That is very critical. That is very important in that case. So in level 2, it was just an introduction that you did. It was just something that we wanted you to have an idea about. So you had maybe a subsidiary and then an associate, or probably a joint venture. And so with associate, we account for that in accordance with IAS 28, investment in associate and joint venture arrangements. And in corporate reporting, you're going to be taking that to the next level. So if you're a strong person, or if you're somebody who has a good knowledge or has a good understanding in financial reporting, corporate reporting will be a bit easier for you, because like I said, it's everything in financial reporting, but then we are taking it a step further. We are taking it a step further. We are taking it a step further. And like I say all the time, you want to stay away from consolidated financial statements, especially in the exam hall, when it comes to the beginning of the exams. And I will explain to you why later. I've explained this over and over again to you guys, but that is the second thing, consolidated financial statement. We're going to be having a question on consolidated financial statement in the exam hall, and you should be in the position to be able to, in addition to what you know in level 2. So yeah, you're going to be dealing with the intra-group transactions. Yes, you're going to be dealing with all that. So for instance, if there is transfer of assets, non-current assets, there is transfer of goods, provision for unrealized profits on that, provision for realized profits and all that. And all these things are here as well when it comes to dealing with the level 3 corporate reporting in that case, because I mean, these are very critical. So this is the issue about that. This is the issue about that. So that is the second aspect of the syllabus, consolidated financial statements. Then you go to section 3, which is 20%. Now, this is just like interpretation of financial statement you know already. In level 2, again, taking it a step further. Okay, taking it a step further. What do you know already in level 2? But this time around, we taking it a step further. So, interpretation of financial statements. Interpretation of financial statements. So this is what we call evaluation and evaluation of financial statements, if you want to put it that way. Now here also you're going to be calculating the various ratios, profitability ratios, working capital and liquidity ratio. You're going to be dealing with the gearing ratios and then the investors ratios. You're going to be dealing with all that. But the distinction here is that because you are in corporate reporting, we're going to be expanding it up a little bit. For instance, the examiner can bring us a question on interpretation or evaluation of financial statements where we are dealing with a consolidated or a group of company. Okay, so we are dealing with a group of companies, and we are evaluating the financial statement, or we are evaluating the financial statement using the consolidated financial statements. So in financial reporting, where you are just looking at a single company and analyzing the performance of a single company, here you may be looking at a group of company and all that in that case. So here it's almost the same thing. It's the same ratios you're going to be calculating, but then the structure or the nature of the question and then the requirements at this level is going to be quite different from the level 2 in that case. But depending on how excited the examiner is, you could have 20-mark question coming in from the evaluation of financial statement, and this is going to be mixed with some theories that you are supposed to answer, as well as some comments or discussion questions in that case. So some simple theory, what are the limitations of ratios? Then you put it down, bam, 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 you go away. Then some comments where you are computing ratios and writing out the report in that case. Now, like I said in the financial reporting class, I have video on the on this topic, interpretation of financial statement. I think I did a 2-part video on this on the channel, so you can check the channel about this, and you'll be able to get access to this content and know about them in that case, so that you can be in a better position. There are certain basic rules that governs how we interpret these financial statements. So not only about computing the ratios, because sometimes the examiner can just give you the data, the information, has computed the various ratios, then provide you with another additional information, then you will be required to now evaluate the financial statement. So that is the third aspect of the syllabus, evaluation of financial statements. Then it comes to the fourth aspect, which is one of my personal favorite areas in the entire corporate reporting syllabus, and that is specialized transactions. Specialized transactions. Specialized transactions. Now, when you hear specialized transactions like this, it's actually divided into 2 broad categories. In that case, we are looking at the issue in relation to business valuation. Then we are also looking at the issue about corporate restructuring, and financial reorganization. Now, what the examiner usually does is that when it comes to the specialized transactions, you can get a 15-mark question on that going into the exam hall. If the examiner is excited about it, he could give you 20-mark question on that. But what is going to happen is that here, the examiner doesn't bring the 2 methods, and we have the cash-based valuation methods. So you must know about all of these methods of valuation and why we use them, and the merits or demerits, restructuring and financial reorganization. Sometimes an organization is in financial distress, and so it's finding ways and means to restructure its operation to become more profitable. Okay, so when an organization is in a financial distress, it can do a corporate restructuring or financial reorganization. Or sometimes the organization will just want to do a financial reorganization where we are changing the capital structure of the organization. Financial reorganization has to do with changing the capital structure of the organization. How much debt we have, how much equity we have. So one of the things the company can do is that they are not in financial distress, but they just want to increase the value of the company and reduce any potential maybe acquisition bids and all that. What a company can do is they can do a financial reorganization to increase the value of the company for the shareholders in that case. So it is either we are in financial distress and we are looking for a way out to restructure the company, corporate restructuring has to do with where we are trying to change the operations, the systems of the organization, so that if there is any division, any segment of the business that is not profitable, we close it up, we sell it, or we can remove a certain division of the business and establish it as a separate legal entity on its own. All those ones are corporate reconstruction, corporate restructuring. We use these terminologies interchangeably though, but that is what you need to understand in there. So these things can be done by an organization in financial distress or an organization that want to just increase its value. Now, if you are familiar with the issues about the banking sector collapse, a couple of years ago, I mean about 2 or 3 years ago, whatever it is, a lot of the banks were not able to meet their financial minimum capital requirements of the 400 million Ghana cedis, and a lot of them were in financial distress, and they submitted proposals to the Bank of Ghana to on financial reconstruction, corporate reorganization, but a couple of the firms' proposal did not meet the requirements of the Bank of Ghana, so the Bank of Ghana did not approve of it, especially companies like Capital Bank and all that. And a couple of them also submitted a reorganization where we saw them merging, and these were approved by the Bank of Ghana, and a couple of them also just wind out and say, hey, we can't meet the minimum capital requirement, so we're going to be out of the business, and the Bank of Ghana approved that. So it depends on the position of the organization and what the organization is looking at or wants to do or wants to achieve. That is where we're going to be having this. But you as a chartered accountant, you as a level 3 corporate reporting student, you are required to understand these things in much detail. And like you see, I'm really excited about these two areas because they are very interesting and they are very practical. I mean, you can relate to them well, and they are really, really enjoyable, especially if you really understand it and relate it to real-time issues surrounding you in that case. So that is also one of the crucial aspects in the syllabus for corporate reporting. And we're going to be having a question coming in from there that you need to be in the position to answer that for the examiner. So that is the fourth segment of the syllabus. So the international financial reporting standards, the consolidated financial statements, the evaluation of financial statement, the specialized transactions. Then the last thing is ethics. I mean, very critical. Like I said, ethical issues are now something that it's coming on really currently well developing in our part of the world. In our part of the world, it's currently well developing. So that is why a lot of the subjects now in the ICA syllabus, you find ethics in there. Audit and assurance, you see ethics in there. Financial reporting, you see ethics in there. Management accounting, you see ethics in there. Corporate reporting, there is ethics. Advanced audit, there is ethics. Advanced taxation, there is some elements of ethics in there, because the examiner wants to make sure that before you come out as a chartered accountant, you are well-rounded on that professional level, and the examiner is going to be bringing you some 10-mark questions on ethical issues. Now, this is where the examiner is going to bring you a scenario. Okay, then the examiner will ask you what are the ethical issues that you need to consider in these scenarios, and there are fundamental codes of ethics that you need to know about. We have the integrity, we have the objectivity, we have the professional competence and due care, professional competence and due care. We're going to have professional behavior. And as always, my personal favorite, confidentiality. Thou shalt not talk about everything you see. But if you see something that is illegal, then you can report it to the regulatory authority, or you see something that in the public that will affect a large number of the public or the citizens, you need to go tell it. So these are the fundamental principles, but it is not about chewing baba to know what is integrity. It's not about chewing baba to know what is objectivity. It's not about chewing baba to know, but it's about how to identify these in a scenario, in a question. So the examiner doesn't want you to regurgitate integrity. The examiner is not going to ask you any question about explain the fundamental principle. No, no, no. He will bring you a scenario, a real-time case where you will be applying. Because remember, at this level, we are seeing you as somebody that is in practice, okay, but not somebody who is really a practitioner. But we are seeing you as though you are in practice. So we put you in a simulation. I'm saying we as though I'm part of the people, but you are put into a simulation where we sort of try to bring a real-time scenario to see how you will respond to it as a professional accountant. And ethical issues is something that is critical that you need to know about. And certainly there are threats to the ethical issues that you must also know about. And that is the self-interest threat, self-review threat. This is where the auditor is the same person who is who was the same person who prepared the accounts. Advocacy threat, doing more than what you're supposed to do for the company so that your independence is impaired. Intimidation threat, being threatened or blackmailed or by the status of people being afraid. Then familiarity threat due to having close personal or business relationship with senior executives or those charged with governance within an organization. So ethical issues, very critical, very, very important in that case. So these are the 5 segments of our corporate reporting syllabus. And these are the things that you need to look out for and take into consideration if you want to pass the exams. So what is the exam structure? I've already given you that though, but we're going to have question 1 usually on a consolidated financial statement. Depending on how excited the examiner is, question 2, we may have that on international financial reporting standards, and that could be a 25-mark question on 5 standards or on 4 standards in that case. We may have question 3 coming in. The position of the questions could change, okay? But I'm just trying to let you know what is happening there. We may have question 3 coming in as possibly evaluation of financial statements. Question 4 may come in as business valuation, or, like I said, corporate restructuring, financial reorganization coming in. Then question 5 will be something on ethics, because definitely there will be a question on ethics waiting for you in the exam, or depending on how excited the examiner is, you may have some IFRS standards coming in question 5. Then some issues about conceptual framework also coming in the question 5. So this is the structure of our exams. For you to pass the exams, what are the things you must do? Like I say all the time, key areas you have to focus on will be the following. You must be careful and make sure that you are strong in the international financial reporting standards. This is critical. This is crucial because you're going to have a minimum of 30%. This is from the chief examiner. This is from the mouth of the chief examiner. A minimum of 30% on standards questions in a corporate reporting examination. So all the standards that we've listed here, you want to make sure that you know them off head and you practice a lot of questions with this, because that is the only way you can pass the exams. That is the only way you can pass the exams. Aside that, you want to make sure that you are strong in evaluation of financial statement. This is a done deal area that you can easily do in the exam or and take a simple marks and go away. In that case, you want to make sure that you understand the concept about ethics, because you're going to have between 6 to 10 mark question coming in the exam hall, 6 to 10 marks. Questions coming in the exam hall on ethics. This is 15 marks. coming in the exam or on ethics. So you want to make sure that you max that out and get a maximum marks coming in that case. Then you need to also spend some time to look at business valuation and its brother corporate restructuring, financial reorganization. It's a very critical area. The formulas, make sure you understand them, make sure you know when to use them. When you're doing financial reorganization, there are stages that you follow. Make sure you understand the principles that governs that. Then certainly you spend your time to look at consolidated financial statement. Like I say all the time, consolidated financial statement, that is really the last topic I teach, because many students spend time to do consolidated financial statement in the exam hall but end up failing the exams because it's going to require a lot of time before you can finish preparing the financial statement. So in order for you to increase your chances of passing the examination, you want to make sure that you are strong in the standards, you go there. You want to make sure you are strong in the standards, you go there. You want to make sure you are strong in the ethics, you go there. Then definitely there is going to be some other basic level 2 questions like conceptual framework, regulatory framework. You want to make sure that you read those things briefly, even if your lecturer doesn't teach you those things. I mean, you are expected to have known. So you just make sure that you spend time, read these things very well, and make sure you understand them. And that is how you pass corporate reporting. So if it comes to corporate reporting, this is the overview of corporate reporting, the syllabus structure, the exam structure, and most importantly, the syllabus structure, the exam structure, and most importantly, the key areas that you need to focus on. Any questions for me? Any questions for me? See some of you guys coming up. If you have any questions, put it in the chat box for me real quick. See a comment coming in from Leslie Sakite. She said, I think Leslie is a female name, yeah? God bless you, sir. Amen, Leslie. God bless you too. Alhaji Jalo said, I guess is feed more clearer and better. I don't know what you mean. Okay, maybe you are talking about Abdullah's concern that I should do a whiteboard. Let me know. This feed, okay, this feed where you have my screen coming up like this. You have my screen coming up like this feed, and then go watch our video on when we are writing on the board. Look at the two, you realize that, I mean, provides us with a clearer, smoother, and very crispy feed than that. That is why we go, we decided to go for this. That's why we decided to go for this. So now let's go to advanced audit and assurance. I love this subject also because of its simplicity and its depth of understanding that is required for you to actually pass the exams. Advanced audit and assurance. Advanced audit and assurance. I guess there was somebody who was asking about audit and assurance. Is it Kese, I guess? Yeah, Kese Ba. I hope that you are still online. So advanced audit and assurance, let's go into it real quick. Emmanuel BC in Chenfo said, please, can we have a session on how to answer exam questions in addition to what we have done? Okay, that is awesome. That is awesome. Possibly we could do that tomorrow, Emmanuel. So I'm going to be adding that to my slide. Possibly we could do that tomorrow. Because this week I'm really giving you an overview, so we can do that tomorrow as part of my discussion. So let me add it to my topic slides. Because in as much as you should know the scope of the subjects, study and all that, many people also fail the exams, not because they don't know, but because they don't answer the questions well. So I'm going to share my thought on that, Emmanuel, tomorrow, God willing. So advanced audits and assurance, advanced audits and assurance, advanced audits and assurance. Now, like I said, advanced audit and assurance is one of my personal favorite subjects in the syllabus. I mean, because of its simplicity and how it is structured. I mean, it is very practical, very, very interesting. In that case, I know some of you guys would disagree with me though, but it's the nature of how the subject is structured that gets me excited about it. I see a comment coming in from Cassie. Cassie said, this looks much professional as compared to the previous. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Cassie. Emmanuel said, much appreciated. Always a pleasure. So let's go advanced audit and assurance. Now, this is going to be very critical in that case. Look at it. The syllabus is divided into 7 segments, 7 segments, 7 segments. Number 1, look at it. Ethics, acceptance, and managing engagement. Very, very critical in that case. Very, very, very critical in that case. Very, very critical in that case. Now, so like I told you a moment ago, ethics is in corporate reporting and is also in advanced audit and assurance. Now, if you are an auditor, so let's say that you are an audit firm. Can we put a name there? Let's say Kessie and Associates. All right. Let's say Kessie and Associates. So Kessie has his audit firm here. Then let's say we have another company here, maybe whatever, AMA Limited. Okay. So AMA Limited. AMA Limited is on the market looking for auditors. So AMA Limited writes a letter to appoint Kessie and Associates. The question is, before Kessie says, yes, AMA Limited, I'm going to undertake the audit, what are the factors he must take into consideration? And this is where the journey begins. So you're going to be looking at your ethics. You're going to be looking at your independence. You're going to be, when you're looking at independence, that is where the ethical issues are going to come in. You're going to be looking at your resources. You're going to be looking at the industry that AMA Limited is in. You're going to be looking at whether you have the expertise. You're going to look at the size of the company, the reputation of the company. You're going to be looking at the fee that you are going to be charging. You're going to be looking at the other services that you'll be rendering for AMA Limited. So there are various factors that you need to consider even before you say, yes, sir, we're going to be carrying out the audit for this company. So they appoint Kessie and Associate, but Kessie and Associate has to say yes. Before Kessie and Associate says yes to the assignment, Kessie and Associate says yes by issuing a document or a letter called the engagement letter. And we're going to get into all these later on when I'm teaching, because I don't want to get excited about just the overview of the syllabus, but I'm just giving an idea about what's happening here. So in the engagement letter, Kessie and Associates, it's going to say, yeah, we accept the audit. We're going to charge you this. But under the audit, we're going to do A, B, and C. And then this is how much we're going to take. This is when we will start the audit. This is when we will finish the audit. So all of these things will be in the engagement letter. That is what the examiner is, or that is what the syllabus is about. The first aspect of the syllabus: ethical and legal issues, acceptance, and managing engagement. So AMA Limited, it's looking for auditors. They write to Kessie Limited. Kessie Limited looks at AMA Limited, looks at the independence, look at everything. They said, oh yeah, we're going to do it. Then they issue an engagement letter to them and say, yes, we're going to do the audit. That's the first aspect of the syllabus. The second aspect of the syllabus is 10 marks, and that is engagement planning. This is a very critical area for us, because as auditors, because you see, you cannot carry out a quality audit without planning the audit. So this is where audit planning comes in. And that is in accordance with ISA 300, planning the audits of financial statements. International standards on audits 300, planning the audit. And that is 10 marks or 10% as per the syllabus grading. But there is a lot that is going to go up here. There are two things you need to look out for here. The audit strategy and then the audit plan. Because this is where you determine various things you need to understand, looking at the issue about materiality, looking at the issue about risks of material misstatement, looking at the issue in relation to the approach that you are going to be using for the audit and all that. Then the audit plan has to do with what you will do when and how you carry out what. So audit strategy is the how. Audit plan is the stages that you are going to be following in carrying out the work in that case. And this is a huge aspect if you are going into advanced audit and assurance. And like I said, I'm really excited about audit and assurance, because you see, once you get into it, once you start doing it, it's really interesting. Yes, it's voluminous. Yes, it entails a lot of, it has a lot of reading, but I can guarantee you that if you really learn it proactively and you really get a good tuition for that, I can guarantee you will really love this paper and pass this paper with ease, because of how intrinsic this paper is. Very, very interesting in that case. I'm saying a lot of things about advanced audit and assurance, but it's because of the way it is connected. So look at how the syllabus is connected. I love it so much. So the first aspect, CIMA wants an auditor. They write to Kessie and Associates. Kessie and Associates say, yes, we're going to do the audit, and they issue an engagement letter. Now, after that, Kessie Limited starts to plan the audit, how they are going to be undertaking the audit, the various approaches that they are going to be using, and the various things that they are going to be doing under the audit. Now, look at the third aspect. The third aspect is audit and assurance methods to gather audit evidence. That is the big aspect of the syllabus. 25% of the syllabus grading. So this is where you are looking at audit procedures and audit evidence. I want to divide it into two. So you're looking at audit procedures and audit evidence. You see, at the end of the day, we have to issue an auditor's report. But we can only issue an auditor's report by gathering sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. So the audit evidence should be sufficient, meaning that it should be enough for us to reach a reasonable conclusion. Remember, why is CIMA Limited employing Kessie Limited? The shareholders of CIMA Limited is employing Kessie Limited so that Kessie and Associates, can give an assurance that, oh, the financial statement taken as a whole represent the true and fair view of the entity. Because you see, shareholders employ management to run the company. But then management could run the company in their own interest at the expense of the owners. So the owners want to make sure that the financial statement that has been prepared and presented to them by the management really is what it's supposed to be. So Kessie Limited, being the audit firm, is providing an assurance. So it is like you want to go buy a dress. Now you go to the boutique, you look at the dress. This dress looks good on you. I mean, you stand before the mirror, you look at it, it's good on you. But then you are not really convinced. Maybe you are walking with your friend, you are walking with your spouse, or you are walking with your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Then you ask, I mean, how do I look? Then they said, you look good in that. Take this one. No, don't take this one. That confidence, that third party person, even though you know that this dress is good, when someone tells you that it is good, it gives you that assurance, it gives you that confidence to go ahead with it. That is the same thing that the auditors, Casey and Associates, is doing. But then they are not giving us absolute assurance. That is very critical. What they are giving us is reasonable assurance. You know, it's just a scope of the syllabus, but then I'm just trying to give you some tidbit as well as we get into the discussion about this. You are not being given, they are not giving us absolute assurance, meaning that they are not saying, oh, everything is good. That's not what they are saying. That is not what they are saying here. They are not saying everything is good, absolute. No, they're just giving you reasonable assurance based on the evidence they got it. So auditors don't give absolute assurance, they give reasonable assurance. It is for this reason why, in order for them to give that reasonable assurance, they must gather sufficient evidence, they must gather appropriate evidence. Now, when we say evidence should be sufficient and appropriate, two things generally, we mean that it should be relevant, and then it should be reliable. So there are various factors that we're going to be taking into consideration in talking about the issue about relevance and reliability of an audit evidence. Don't worry, we'll get into that later on when we are learning. But the big question we ask ourselves is, okay, how do we get the audit evidence? The auditor gets the audit evidence by carrying out audit procedures. Remember, this is 25% of the syllabus grading. 25%. So there are a lot of things in here that we must know about. So audit procedures. Now the audit procedures are the 5 vowel sounds. A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. Now, depending on whatever question we have, we may be doing one of these things. A means analytical procedures. This has to do with where we try to find trends, changes over time, comparing current financial statement to previous year financial statement, calculating ratios and comparing the ratios to the previous year financial statement, industry average, as well as budget, so that we can find trend and changes. Then E means inquiry. We can have inquiry from management and those charged with governance, and we can have inquiry from other third parties, depending on whatever we are looking out for. Then sometimes, in order for the auditor to gather the evidence, he must inspect certain documents. So inspection of documents, it could be inspection of maybe title deed, bank statements and all that. That is going to be the observation. Sometimes it means we sitting down and observing how things are done. For instance, attending an inventory count to see how the inventory count is done, or putting a dummy transaction into the internal control systems of the organization to see whether the transaction will go in through the stages as stipulated by the entity in their internal control manual. So observation is about looking at how things are really done within the organization. Then so the U here has to do with recalculation or reperformance. So you want to recalculate the figures that are on the face of the financial statement. The gross profit figure, is it like that? The cost of sales, the components, when you add it, is it like that? The depreciation figure they had, is it like that? The impairment figure they had, is it like that? So that is called recalculation and reperformance. And this is 25% of the syllabus. Very, very huge area, but it's really interesting. Really, really interesting. I cannot tell you how excited I am already, even though I'm not teaching it. But I'm really excited about it. So that is the next thing. So we accept the audit, we plan the audit, then we now carry out the audit. So this is where, we are working. This is the third stage. We are working. We gather the audit evidence. Now, after you gather the audit evidence, you come to the D aspect. That is called conclude and report on an engagement. That is also 25%. This is very, very critical. This is very, very critical. Why is that? So this is where you're looking at conclusion. So concluding and reporting on the assignment. So at the conclusion stage of the audit, this is where like you are done. What else do you do? Now, when you are done like that, I mean, you've carried out the work, maybe you've done the work for 3 months, for 4 months, or whatever it is, depending on whatever period that we are looking out for. We've carried out the audit, but we are not finished. At this level, 2 things are going to happen. We are going to be issuing an independent auditor's report. Very, very critical. And in the exam hall, the examiner is not going to access to prepare an auditor's report for your information. The examiner is not going to access to prepare anything on to prepare an auditor's report, but the examiner could access to look at an extract of the auditor's report. So we must know the various components, the various elements in an auditor's report. But not only that, there are other review that we are going to be carrying out at the conclusion stage of the audit. So this is where we look at other documents, or we look at other reports, like the director's report, like the other reports of the organization, management minutes. We inspect all of those documents. Now, what we are doing there is to determine consistency, to see that what is in the financial statement, that is what is in the director's report, that is what is in the management minutes for the organization. It helps us a lot as an organization. Then one thing we do here, it's about assessing the going concern of the organization. This is a huge aspect of the syllabus. Remember that a lot of the banks, before they collapse, their auditors allegedly, a couple of them issued that the financial statement of the entity was good. Then just less than a number at 6 months, the company is insolvent. So what was going on there? So that is why a lot of people came out and say that what was the audit firms, what did they do? Is it that they didn't do their job well? Is it that they were paid off? Or I mean, what is really going on? So one of the critical things at this level, where the examiner is really excited about, is about accessing the going concern of the entity. And there are various indicators of going concern that you must know about. Now, when you see the indicators and there are mitigating factors, then there are no issues coming in. But if there are indicators and there are no mitigating factors, then we have to start thinking about the organization, preparing its financial statement on a breakout basis. Now, remember, the going concern status doesn't affect our audit opinion as auditors. Okay, it doesn't affect our audit opinion as auditors. We are just assessing whether the entity can operate in the next 12 months. Remember, going concern simply means the ability of the entity to operate in the next 12 months, period. Can the entity operate in the next 12 months? We're going to be assessing that. So there are a couple of indicators. For instance, if the company is losing key managers, that's an indicator of going concern. But then if the company loses key managers during the year and they have employed new key managers, then there is no issue. Loss of key supplier, that is a going concern indicator. But then if they are able to look at the issue in signing a new contract with another supplier, then that is not an issue. So we have to assess this. Then one key thing we also do at the conclusion stage is to look at the events after the reporting period. Events after the reporting period. Now, when it comes to the events after the reporting period, this is where we are looking at IAS 10, okay? The adjusting and non-adjusting events, okay? This is one of the things we would do as auditors. The reason is that, you see, when the year ends, the events after the reporting period simply is the period between when the year end and when financial statements are authorized. So let's say our year end on 31st December, our financial statements are issued on, let's say, 1st April, the following year. So it means January, February, March. All the things that occur in these 3 months, the auditor would have to look at them and determine whether they are adjusting events or there are non-adjusting events. And that is also one of the things the auditor does at the review stage of the audit. Then any other procedure that we do, the auditor could do maybe what is called a hot review. That is the review of evidence that is done immediately before the issuance of the auditor's reports. This is where they are reviewing the various evidence that they have gathered to determine how they can conclude on the auditor's report that they must issue in that case. So that is a huge aspect as well that you're going to be looking at as an advanced audit and assurance student. So what have we said so far? Now, look at it. AMA Limited wants an auditor. They engaged Kessie and Associates. Okay, Kessie and Associates accepted the audit. Guess what? Kessie and Associates planned the audit very well. Kessie and Associates undertook a quality audit. They gathered audit evidence. Then Kessie and Associates issued an auditor's report after carrying out the various reviews that they must do. So that is just basically it. But then in advanced audit and assurance, we take it a step further to look at how we deal with accountability in the public sector. This was actually in level 2 public sector accounting and finance, but the examiner has removed it and brought it in advanced audit and assurance. So that is 10% of the syllabus where we are looking at the statutory role of governments with external and internal audit and accountability in Ghana. So some element of that level 2 components there is here. Then public sector auditing. Now, when it comes to auditing in the public sector, there are basically 3 things you need to understand. We have what we call performance audits. We have what we call financial audits. We have what we call compliance audits. Okay, so audit in the public sector. There are 3 types of audits that you need to know about. Compliance audits, to make sure that various MDAs and MMDAs are complying with the act that governs them, the rules that governs them. Performance audit, if they undertake a contract or award a contract, we want to look at how they did it. Then financial audit, that is just like the audits that we carry out as auditors in that case. Then the last thing is contemporary issues. Definitely when you're looking at public sector audits, you look at the role of the AG, Auditor General. You look at the role of internal audit agency as well. It's very critical because the internal audit agency provide the internal audit unit for all public sector entities. The internal audit unit is like internal auditors in the private sector. Okay, so in the private sector, we call them internal auditors, but in the public sector, we call them internal audit units. And the internal audit agency is also responsible to help them to have an audit committee, which is just like the audit review implementation committee. Audit review implementation committee. This is just like an audit committee in the private sector. In that case, so you're going to be discussing all of these for 10 marks, for 10% of the syllabus grading, for 10%. Then the last thing is contemporary issues. I mean, this is where you talk about all other issues like transnational audit, all other issues. I mean, non-audit and non-assurance services, forensic auditing, and all some other level 2 aspect issues are going to be coming in here. So when we talk about advanced audit and assurance, this is what you need to understand. This is what we mean by advanced audit and assurance. Any questions for me quickly? Any questions for me quickly as I give you the exams structure and then the areas you have to focus on to pass the exams? Right, so Kessie Kwekuban said, this looks more professional as compared to using the board. Okay, thank you very much. Emma Afa Dapa said, good evening, sir. This is quite a topic and I quite appreciate the ease for me to understand this topic with your lecture. Okay, this is quite a topic, and I quite appreciate the ease for me to understand this topic with your lecture. I don't understand your comments really well, though, but I don't understand your comment really well. Emma, is it Ima or Emma? I think it's Emma, not Ima. All right. So, if this is the structure of our syllabus, if this is a structure of our syllabus, then the question we then ask ourselves is, all right, what is the exams going to be like? Because this is level 3, the examiner is going to try as much as possible and bring us, there are nothing like what is, let's. So almost all our questions are going to be scenario-based questions. So the examiner is going to pull scenarios up, and they are going to be scenario-based, and you're going to be answering the question in that case. And this is very critical that you need to understand for that. See your comments coming in. Panda Kung Fu said, hi, sir. Thanks for your videos. Really appreciate the IFRS and IAS coming all the way from Malaysia. Okay, that is awesome, Panda Kung Fu. It's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. And remember to share the video in your country with your colleagues so that we can get a lot of Malaysians coming and watching the lecture in that case. Letta Shilongo said, good lecture. You really know how to open minds. Lots of love from Namibia. Thank you very much, Letta Shilongo. Thank you very much. Let's go. So all our questions are going to be on scenario-based questions, scenario-based questions, scenario-based questions. So what are the key areas that the examiner is going to be examining on so that we will be in the position to pass the exams? Number one, there's going to be a minimum of 10-mark question on ethics. Remember, that is going to be scenario. I mean, I've told you that almost all questions are going to be on scenario, short stories. Then the examiner will ask you. So there's going to be a minimum of 10-mark question on ethics. Number two, there is going to be a question on quality control. Quality control, that is a key area as well that they need to understand. Because remember, the auditor cannot gather sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. The auditor cannot issue a great audit opinion. The auditor cannot reduce his auditor's liability without carrying out a quality audit. And quality control, there is a question waiting for you on that. Definitely, there will be a question for you on audit or engagement acceptance. So engagement acceptance and planning. Engagement acceptance and planning. Very, very critical. So what factors do you take into consideration before you accept an engagement? And then how do you plan it? There's a question waiting for you on that. Remember, when you're dealing with audit planning, risks of material misstatement as well as setting of materiality is very critical. And this is where you're going to be looking at three things here. Anytime you are looking at an audit procedure question, number one, you are asking yourself, what is the materiality level? So is it material to the statement of financial position, or is material to the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income? You must look at the materiality level. Then number two, you have to know the accounting issue. This is very critical, and I cannot overemphasize the fact that is why you as an auditor, you must know the accounting. It is for this reason that why you cannot do audit and assurance when you have not done corporate reporting, because you will struggle. If you have not done corporate reporting and you go and do advanced audit and assurance, you struggle there. Why? Because you must know the accounting issue. You must know what is supposed to have been done, right? Then you go to the third level, the risks of material misstatement. In a simple language, the risks of material misstatement simply means what could go wrong. What could go wrong? In other words, what mistakes is management likely to do in that way? So that is the third thing you must make sure. So the materiality level is the transaction, is the thing that is in the question really material. Now remember, materiality level is in two things. We can have something can be material because of its nature or because of its size or amount. So you got to be careful. Now, sometimes something will not be material, but because of the nature of the transaction, it will be material, especially when you're dealing with IAS 24 related party transaction. Even if there is no amount involved, the thing is material and we have to look at it and look at it very well. So the materiality level, the accounting issue, what is supposed to be done as per international financial reporting standards, then the risks of material misstatement. The risks of material misstatement. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? So for instance, let's say we are dealing with IAS 20, government grants, right? Let's say we are dealing with government grants. I'm already excited about this. Let's see. We are dealing with government grants, and you know that the appropriate treatment is to use the deferred income approach to deal with government grants. Okay, so meaning that the government grant should be recognized as a deferred income. Okay, and then we amortize or spread it over the economic useful life of the assets, right? What can the company do? That is the risk of material misstatement. It is likely that the company, in order to increase profitability for the period under consideration for bonuses and also meet targets, they may recognize the whole grant received this year in the statement of profit or loss. What does that mean? It means that they have overstated the profit and understated the statement of financial position in terms of liability, because the government grant is supposed to go to the statement of financial position. The carrying amount of the government grant is supposed to go to the financial position as a deferred income. So what could go wrong? You see, you as an auditor, it's not that you are a bad person, but you have to think negative always and ask, what exactly are they likely to do that is going to affect you as an auditor? So that is the risk of material misstatement. So you set a materiality level, you look at the accounting issue, you ask yourself what is likely to go wrong, the risk of material misstatement. The number 4, you now design an audit procedure. What do you do to unearth what has gone wrong? That is the audit procedure. This is where analytical procedures come in, inquiry comes in, inspection of documents comes in, observation comes in, recalculation and reperformance comes in. So depending on the assertion that is being tested, you can decide exactly what you want to do in this case. And then definitely you will now be able to look at the evidence that you need in order to reach a conclusion that, oh, I'm okay in that case. So this is going to be in the exam hall. I don't know how the examiner is going to structure this up, but there is a question waiting for you in the exam hall on materiality and risks of material misstatement in that case. So ethics, done deal, is waiting for you in the exam hall. Engagement, acceptance, and audit planning is going to be in the exam hall. Number 3 has to do with the issue about public sector audit. That's going to be in the exam, or definitely something about public sector audit is going to be in the exam, or depending on how the examiner is excited about it, there's something going to be on the public sector audit, either the types of the audit or the role of the auditor general, the role of the internal audit agency, or like those various things. Depending on how excited the examiner is, he could shower some blessings on you on those things. So ethics, quality control, engagement planning, public sector audits. Definitely, because I've already mentioned audit procedure and audit evidence here, these are also areas that you're going to be having question on. Then the last thing I want to share with you is about reporting. There's a question waiting for you in the exam hall on audit reporting. So we finished the audit. How do we carry out the audit report? What kind of opinion do we issue? All these things are very critical in that case. All these things are very, very critical in that case. That is the key thing you need to understand. So if you want to pass audit and assurance, listen to me carefully. Make sure you get the right materials. I mean, make sure you attend lectures. I mean, I say this to you guys all the time. Make sure you get a good tuition for that in that case, and make sure that you really bury yourself into it. It's an interesting paper. I cannot overemphasize the importance of it. If you understand audit and assurance, I mean, you will enjoy it. It's only when you are lazy that you will enjoy it. But because look at the connection. So AMA employs Cassie. Cassie now issues an engagement letter. He then plans the audit. He then carries out audit procedure. We can do public sector audit. Then we can do other assurance services. And you see that you can find yourself practically involved in this in that case. So these are the things you need to understand when we talk about advanced audit and assurance. Now, let me make a couple of statements real quick. For those of you who are privileged to be in audit firms already, you got to be careful, because the fact that you are already in an audit firm does not mean that you are a step ahead of passing the advanced audit and assurance paper. The reason why I'm saying this is that what you do when you go there is going to be a bit different from what you are required to write in the exam hall. So you got to be careful. Yes, it gives you some leverage so that, like, what you are learning, like, you can see it being done, because chances are you are not really at the top, so you're not seeing at the top. You are just doing components part of the audit. So you got to be careful that you don't let that get into your head that, oh, I'm in an audit firm, so advanced audit and assurance, I mean, I can do it easily. You will fail. You will fail if you allow your ego to lead you. Instead, you need to just humble yourself. Just learn it, go it as though you are not doing any audit anywhere. Because if you do that, you come with a childlike mind. Your mind will be open. You'll be more curious to be able to understand how it is done, so that when you go back to work, you'll be able to apply it. Because what you are required to write in the exam hall to pass the exams is different from, or might be different from, what you do in your workplace when you go on audit assignments. Because, I mean, there are a couple of audit firms who carry out certain assignments that they are not supposed to carry out. So if in practice your firm does that, and you go into the exam hall, you see a question, and because your firm does it, you also write that, oh, the auditor can do it, Zokpo, zero. You won't get anything for that. So that is why you got to be careful that you stay within the ambient of the syllabus. You stay within the requirements of the question, and not let your ego be ahead of you that, oh, I'm in an audit firm, I work in this audit firm, so, I mean, no. Please, humble yourself and learn and pass the exams. When you finish, you pass the exam and you chatter and you have some experience and you get the designation and you become a member, then you can let your ego lead you. In that case, ego is not good, but just humble it down. I'm emphasizing on this because I've seen a lot of people pass through under my mentorship studying the subject, and they are working in an audit firm, and they let their ego carry them away. And when you're talking, they're like, yeah. They go into the exam, or then they fail the exams. Then they come back, then they realize that, oh, okay, this is what Nhyira has been saying, and so now I'm going to change my thing. So you want to make sure that if you're in an audit firm, don't let your ego lead you. Just be humble, go through it, and study it the way it has to be studied. And I hope that you can pass the examination. I'm very much excited about the summary that we are able to do. Let's see if there are any questions. Please put it in the comment section for me. Let me know, what do you think about the session today? If there are any questions, please put them in the chat for me. Emmanuel said, you have really summarized the whole syllabus. You have made it look very simple. Yeah, it is really simple. Like I said, advanced audit and assurance, it's bulky. Yeah, I need to admit that it's bulky because it entails a lot. But then if you get a good tuition, a good tutor, it can be simplified. Okay, and I teach advanced audit and assurance, and I've been teaching it over the years for about 7 years now, and so it is something that I love. One of my personal favorite subjects in the CA syllabus in the ACCA is advanced audit and assurance, and so if you get a good tuition, I mean, you will love this paper. You will love this paper. you love this paper. So it's really simple, just that it's a bit bulky. Later, Shilongo said, I wish you could help with IFRS 16, employee benefit, and earnings per share. We already have a video. Shilongo, check my playlist on accounting standards. We already have a video on IFRS 16 in the playlist. So check that out on the channel. And we also have a video on earnings per share, I guess. I mean, we have about over 101 video on accounting standards. So check the playlist on accounting standards series and you can check some videos. The employment benefit or employee benefit, I don't think we have video of that on our YouTube channel, but definitely we have video of that in our full paid course or paid program. So for those of you who want to study directly under my mentorship, you can visit NhyiraPremium.com. It's 390 Ghana cedis. You get access to the lecture videos, the ebooks, join our live Zoom sessions, study directly under my mentorship, get my materials, and let me mentor you to pass the examination. So there are a couple of things you won't get it on the channel, but they are available in our paid program. And when you join our full course, you'll be able to get access to that. Vincent said, good evening, Nhyira. Good evening, Vincent. I hope that you're doing well. Kesi Kweku Ban said, yeah, auditors have to be a little paranoid to be effective, you know, right? Then Kesi came again and said, love the breakdown, sir. Thank you very much, Daddy. Love it. Thank you very much, Daddy. Love it. Emma Efadapa said, sir, what is the best combination at the professional level? If one is to write 3 papers out of the 5 papers in the forthcoming November dates. Okay, I would think that financial reporting and public sector accounting and finance will be, you said a professional level, you're talking about 5 papers. I mean, we have 4 papers there. So level 3, we have only 4 papers, not 5. So corporate reporting and advanced audit and assurance, good 2 combination. Then possibly you can add advanced taxation to it. So if you want to look at 3 papers, that will be cool there. That'll be cool there because you said professional level. Professional level is in level 3. So you can write corporate reporting, advanced audit and assurance. Then you can add advanced taxation to it because strategic case study, it's also voluminous. It entails a lot. And since audit and assurance has a lot of things in there, and then corporate reporting also has a lot of things in there. If you want to go for 3, then possibly these are the best 3 that you could go for. I actually recommend students to do 2 papers if it is your first time going in there and focus on it if you are working. But if you are somebody who is a full-time student, then possibly you can go ahead and then look at it in that case. So no P in there if that is what you want to look at. I really recommend students go for 2 papers. Now, like I say all the time, this is one of the things I tell students. It's not about the money. Okay, the more papers you write, the more money I make. Yesterday, someone called me and the person was like, "Nhyira, I want to write 5 papers in level 2," and I'm like, because I think she want to write 5 papers in level, no, I think 4 papers because she will get exemption in 2 papers. So she was like, "I want to write 4," and I was like, "How? I mean, how are you going to do that? That's too much." They said, "No, I just want to write." I said, da, 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 da. So as we begin to talk about his schedules, I mean, he's a family man. He works in a middle level management with an organization. He travels a lot. And we look at all that. I'm like, listen, 4 papers is not good. Now, if you register for 4 papers, I get to make more money. If you register for 4 papers, ICA gets to make more money. But it is not about the money I make. It's about you being able to study and, most importantly, pass the exams. So because of your schedules, because of your things, you need to minimize. Yeah, it's good to set a goal. But when you're setting goals, you need to be realistic about your goals. It's good to be optimistic, but if you're being optimistic, you need to be realistic about it. So, I don't know, but probably based on your schedule, if you have the capacity, go for it. But if you think that you have a lot of time demanding, because some people think that and this is not about IMA, okay, this is a general thing. Some people think that, oh, I mean, they can relax, do shabo shabo, and by the grace of God, they will pass. No, please, don't try to sabotage the grace of God, because a lot of you guys sabotage the grace of God. Be reasonable. Do what you know you can. Because passing the ICA exams, even though the pass mark is just 50%, has a lot to offer, has a lot of demand that you need to supply. So I want to say that whatever subject combination that you have, you must make sure that you are doing it in line with your own goals, your own objective in that case. It's very critical. It's very critical. So look at it and then do the subject combination in that case. Don't, I think probably, I don't know though, but anybody that approach me and say I'm doing 3 subjects, I tell the people all that, hey, why would you want to do 3? And you got to be reasonable. Like I said, the more papers you write, the more money I make. But it's not the money I want. I want you to pass the exams. I want you to pass the exam, because when you fail the exam, it's too excruciating. It's too hurtful. I mean, your emotions, your vim, it's gone. So why not do it 2 papers? If that is what you can. Put all your effort in it, go in there, pass. But just spreading your wings on 3, spreading your wings on 4, and you don't have the time to go through them very well. So please, the grace of God is there to help all of us. But don't sabotage the grace of God, because the grace of God is available for everybody. But the only way it can work is when we are reasonable and we work hard on ourselves. And that's how we can pass the examination, right? That's how we can pass the examination. Panda Kung Fu said, say how to pass CR, SBR, ACCA. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to be sharing some thoughts on that. So Panda Kung Fu, join me tomorrow, that'll be 1700 GMT, 5 p.m., 1700 GMT. I'll be joining me, because tomorrow I will share with you how to answer questions, how to pass the exams, and some other key strategies that you need to understand as we summarize on this discussion. So join me tomorrow, Panda, and I'll be sharing some thought with you on that. Kese Kwekuban said, the grace of God with no hard work. You see the thing? So grace plus hard work equals success. But if you just pray, fast, and you don't work hard, I mean, you are sabotaging the grace of God. You go and sow seed that God help me to pass the exam. Then you go and sow seed. But you're not learning. You go into the exam hall and then you go and fail. Then he said, oh, the seed doesn't work. It's a lie. If you sow a good seed and you work hard, the seed will work. So that's just by the way in that case. Emmanuel Inchenfo said, thank you. God bless you for the good work, for the good job. Always a pleasure, Emmanuel. It's always a pleasure. So that is it about it. I hope that this discussion has been helpful for you as you prepare yourself to actually start learning. And my objective, as always, is to help you, to provide you with the framework on how you need to pass the exam. So tomorrow, I'm going to be coming your way again at 5 p.m. or 1700 GMT. And I'm going to be providing you with some technical strategies, how to answer questions, the wordings, the mark allocation, how many lines you're supposed to write, the wordings you're supposed to use, and all that. So I'm going to provide you with some strategic exam techniques tomorrow on the various subjects. And it's going to be also a Q&A session where I'm going to be answering some questions for you in that case. So thank you very much for joining the stream. It's always a pleasure coming your way and assisting you in order for you to pass the examination. So I'll catch you same time tomorrow. Remember that our enrollment and registration is ongoing. If you want to enroll and study for the November 2021 examination under my mentorship, you can visit NhyiraPremium.com or call 050-114-9296, 050-114-9296. You can see the number scrolling below the screen there, and you can call or WhatsApp us. And register for a course, study under my mentorship, get access to our material. Let's see how I can help you. Imagine how you will be if you are learning under my mentorship every week, every moment, and how I can provide you with some assistance to make this exam and journey easy and interesting for you so you can pass the examination and, most importantly, become more successful. So I'll catch you same time tomorrow till we meet again. Stay safe, stay blessed, and bye-bye.